How's it going, boys? Patrick Line back with another video, and today we're going to be doing my final mock draft predictions for the draft on Friday. We're going to be going through every pick 1 through 31, and I'll talk a little bit about each pick. I don't want to go into too much detail because there is a lot of picks to get through. I did decide to do the entire first round, which was a challenge in itself. Trying to figure out, what team I think would want what player, what position they're going after, what teams might just go after the best overall player on the board. So if you guys like this video, please leave a like, and with that said, let's get into the mock draft. So with the first overall pick, I have the New Jersey Devils selecting Jack Hughes. Now this isn't a surprise for many people. Obviously a lot of people think Kaapo Kakko could go first because of the show he put on at the World Championships. And I wouldn't blame you for thinking that. Kaapo Kakko showed he is an unbelievable player, but Jack Hughes has been the consensus for the entire season. Going back to even before last year, he was the consensus first overall pick, and I think, it's going to stand true. Jack Hughes is an unbelievable talent. He's got, flashes of Patrick Kane and Jack Eichel in his game. He can score, he can assist, he's crazy fast, he beats people with speed almost like McDavid. Jack Hughes is the consensus number 1 pick, and I don't think the Devils have any reason to take Kaapo Kakko at number 1. At number 2, we have Kaapo Kakko going to the New York Rangers, and I absolutely love Kaapo Kakko's game. He plays like Jaromir Jagr and Peter Forsberg. He can score, he's a big boy. He does it all on the ice. He can use his body. He's deadly in the corners. If you go into the corner with Kaapo Kakko, you're most likely going to come out without the puck. He's absolutely great down low, and he can set up teammates too. Kaapo Kakko is already playing a man's game as an 18-year-old, and I feel like he's going to make a great impact at the NHL level next year with the Rangers. Man, the Rangers are going to be a great team in the future. Wow. So from picks 3 to 10, there's a lot of differing opinions. It really depends on what the team may be going after, but I have the Chicago Blackhawks taking Bowen Byram, number 3. Obviously, they already got Boakfist last year, and they have Yoki Harju, but I think it would make sense. Once Keith and Seabrook gone, they're going to need defense, and Bowen Byram is an unbelievable talent. He's a top 5 pick. Him with Boakfist and Yoki Haru, I think, would be a great addition to the team. They already have Stroman, DeBrincat, and they have other picks they can take a forward at. I just like Bowen Byram at number 3. I don't think they'll want to pass him up with their need for defense right now. So at number 4, I have the Avalanche taking Alex Turcotte. Now, the Avalanche really do need centerman behind Nathan MacKinnon. They also have another first-round pick, which I'll be going into later, which I also have them taking a centerman in. But Alex Turcotte is a pretty great talent. I think he's a top 5 guy. I think it would rather be him or Kirby Dach going 4th overall to the Avs. And the Avalanche haven't really dipped too much in the USHL over the last couple of years. Obviously, you look at their top line, McKinnon and Landeskog came from the CHL, and Rantanen came from Finland. So I think it makes sense for them to maybe try a USHL forward, Turcotte. I think he's a great talent. And it would make sense for the Avalanche to go at him number 4. The last time the Avalanche picked at number 4, they picked up Cale Makar, another guy from the US, and he is absolutely gross at hockey, so I think it definitely makes sense for them to go after Turcotte at 4. So to round off the top 5, I have LA taking Kirby Dach, number 5. Kirby Dach, he kind of fits that LA game. A lot of their players are like bigger power forwards. Guys like Brown and Kopitar are really big boys, and Kirby Dach kind of fits that bill. He's a power forward first, but definitely piles up the points. I think it makes sense. Kirby Dach, not to slip out of the top 5, I think also makes sense. He's had an unbelievable draft year. He was a maybe top 3 guy. I could see him going 6 or 7. I could even see him going number 4 to the Avalanche, really. But Kirby Dach, I think, makes sense for the LA Kings to take him at 5. So next up for 6 through 10, at number 6, I have the Red Wings taking Trevor Zegras. I think this makes sense. A USA guy going to a USA team. They really need everything they can get there in Detroit for their rebuild. So I think this one makes sense. He can play behind Larkin. At number 7, I have Cole Caulfield going to Buffalo. I think this one also makes a lot of sense because Buffalo, they need some goal scoring behind Skinner and Eichel. So this one, it helps all parties. Cole gets to go to a US market, and Buffalo gets some goal scoring. I think he can be a 2nd or 3rd line guy within the next couple years. Next up, we have Philip Broberg. Edmonton definitely needs some defense, so I have them taking Broberg ahead of Cousins or Krebs, which I think could have gone there as well, because they are in desperate need of defense, as much as they do need forwards as well and help for McDavid. Help for McDavid needs to come now, which I think it kind of makes sense that they won't take a forward in the hopes that they're getting help from McDavid, because he needs that now, where they can get a defenseman that will be developed and ready to go in the next couple years. I have number 9, I have Dylan Cozens going to Anaheim. He's one of the bigger fallers. I see some people that say Cozens could go 6 or 7, but I have him going down there for, obvious reasons I've just explained. The other teams would want those players, but Anaheim would get an absolute steal at number 9. And I have Peyton Krebs going 10th overall to Vancouver. Man, there are a lot of centermen in this top 10 and in this whole draft throughout, but Peyton Krebs I think makes sense for Vancouver. They need some forwards, and Peyton Krebs is a great talent. He's one of those guys that could definitely make you think in the future that he should have been a top 5 pick, but he slips outside. But Peyton Krebs, I think Vancouver would be pretty happy with the player they get at 10. So now coming in picks 11 through 20. Just by the way, if I pronounce any of these names wrong, I'm sorry. I'm pronouncing them the way they look or the way I think they should be said, and I'm not going to look it up to see if I'm doing it wrong. So Vasily Podkolzin I have going number 11. He really fits that Philly style of game. Can hit, can score, great in his own end, I'm pretty sure. So, but Colson makes sense for Philly. Number 12, I have Matthew Boldy going to Minnesota. Boldy is a bigger boy, he's 6'2", but he can score goals, and he's pretty good in his own end. I think this is a great player for Minnesota. One of those guys that I think can also look like a top 10 pick in the future. At 13, I have Florida taking Moritz Seider, the defenseman. I have him coming up a little bit in the draft because Florida really does need defensemen behind Ekblad and Yandel, and I think it makes sense for them to take the German here. I've heard great things about Seider, or Cedar, I'm sorry, but, I think it makes sense for Florida to take him here. At number 14, I have Spencer Knight going to Arizona. Now, this one is a tough one because I feel like Spencer Knight could crack the top 20 as a goalie, the first time it would happen in a while. But I think I have Arizona taking him here because Arizona, aside from Antti Ranta, they do really need goaltending. As you could see, the end of the year was a little tough for them with all their injuries. But Spencer Knight, I think, has those flashes of, Carey Price and Jonathan Quick in him, and I think he can be that goalie in the future. So I think it makes sense for Arizona to take the gamble here. They already have so many great young forwards on their team and defensemen that it makes sense to go after the gamble. Number 15, Victor Soderstrom, Montreal. They could always use some more defense there. I think it makes sense for them to take the defenseman here. They have so many great forwards, and I really like Victor Soderstrom's game. I think he'd fit in there with Mete and Weber and all of their defense core. 16, I have the Avalanche once again taking another center, and Alex Newhook. I think this is like Alex Newhook, I think, can be that Kyle Connor kind of guy. I know, sorry for the Jets comparison, but Kyle Connor was selected way outside the top 10. He was selected 17th overall, and he really, nailed it. 2 back-to-back 30-goal seasons. I think Alex Newhook can be that guy selected outside the top 10 that does really well and plays like a top 10 player. I remember him being kind of ranked in the top 10 throughout the whole bit of the year, and then he's kind of fallen off in the last couple months. But Alex Newhook, a great talent for Colorado at 16. At 17, I have Vegas taking Cam York, and I think this one makes sense because Eric Brandstrom, the hole that he's leaving as a top-end defensive prospect would be filled by Cam York. Obviously, I don't think as good, but Cam York can definitely be that player that Vegas needs to fill their defensive spot left by Brandstrom. At 18, I have Arthur Kaliev going to Dallas. He's kind of one of the forwards that have fallen off a little bit for me, but, I think he's pretty good. He scored 50 goals in the OHL and had 102 points, so definitely an offensive talent. I think it makes sense for them to draft him here. A great player. I think he'll fit in with the Stars. And at number 19, I have Ryan Suzuki going to Ottawa. I think this one is, he played in the OHL, so he's pretty local. Nick Suzuki's his brother, so he can play against his brother in his division. And, Suzuki, I think, is a great piece for Ottawa to get for their rebuild. I think he can play on a line with some of their other big guys. I know it's another centerman, and they already have Batherson, who can play center, and Logan Brown, but I think this is, like, the best available player right now at that point, and I don't think Ottawa would want to pass him up. They need the best players they can get. So I think this one also makes sense. And at number 20, this one was a really hard one for me because the Jets just got their pick back, and I almost just wanted to say I think they're going to go after who I want them to go after, but I did what makes sense here, and I said Philip Tomasino going number 20. He put up some great points in the CHL this year, and the Jets haven't really dipped into the CHL in the last couple years, aside from Logan Stanley in 2016. In 2017, we got Vesalainen. In 2015, it was Kyle Connor and Rosavik, both USA boys, and obviously Vesalainen was from Finland. So the last time we drafted from the CHL was Nikolai Ehlers in 2014, but he was actually from Denmark, so we haven't really drafted a first-round Canadian in a long time. So Philip Tomasino makes sense. I think, he's going to be a pretty good player. He put up some good numbers, and I don't see why not taking him at number 20. So for the last 10 picks here, we have 21 to 31. I have Raphael Lavoie going to Pittsburgh. He's a big body. Pittsburgh could always use young players. I think they'll take the best available guy. And I have Lavoie slipping a little bit. 22, Thomas Harley, a defenseman to LA. I think this one makes sense because LA needs defensemen. Harley also could be slip into the top 20, I think, but I think LA will be pretty happy with the player they get here. The Islanders, I have them taking a defenseman as well at 23. Ville Heinola, I believe is how you say that. Good defenseman, I think makes sense for the Islanders to take another D-man, kind of stack up just like LA. 24, I have Bobby Brink, the right winger, going to Nashville. Bobby Brink is the player I hope the Jets target. We have pretty good success with our USHL players, but Bobby Brink to Nashville. Small guy, I think he's 5'8" or 5'10", but man, can he score like it's no one's business. 25, I have Samuel Poulin going to the Capitals. Samuel, he's a quick little player. Not a whole lot of high-end ability, but possesses a great motor and can play the game at a pro level. I have Calgary taking Matthew Robertson at 26. Another defenseman going in the bottom end of the first round, but I think this one makes sense. Number 27, I have Brett Leeson going to, or Leeson, sorry, I don't know, but going to Tampa Bay. I think this one makes sense. Tampa Bay gets the best available player, an overager, he's 20, but Tampa has a lot of success with undrafted guys and overagers, like Tyler Johnson and Yanni Gourde, so this one kind of makes sense to me. I have Connor McMichael going to Carolina. This guy also has kind of slipped out of the 25 area, but I think Carolina is pretty happy with the player they got at number 28 there. At 29, I have Lassie Thompson, another defenseman. San Jose getting some defensemen after having to move some out, like Justin Braun, to fit some of the needs to re-sign some of their players. At 30, I have Nils Hoglander, a left winger from Sweden. Pretty, quick player, plays a pretty professional game, played against men in Sweden. And at number 31, I have Simon Holmstrom. He missed a lot of games in the season with injury, but if he turns out, then I'm pretty sure this can be a home run pick for the Buffalo Sabres. So that is the mock draft, boys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Now, obviously, I just want to be upfront. I don't know everything about any one of these players. I maybe know half of them and their play styles, but I don't know every one of them. So I did look at a couple different mock drafts and kind of mix some opinions together and kind of make some sense of what I think is going to happen. I used a little bit of my own input, what I think the team is going to take, and what is actually going to happen, depending on what some of the other professionals in the league thought. So that is the video for today, guys. I hope you do enjoy, and I hope you like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy the draft tomorrow. I may be doing a live stream reaction to the draft. I still have to figure that out, but with that said, have a good one, and I will see you later.